Accused CEO murderer Luigi Mangione returning to court today for a hearing that could determine if critical evidence is withheld from his state murder trial. Our senior correspondent Eric Shawn is outside the courthouse, and he joins us now live. Eric?
Hello, John. Well, the lunch break is over, and Luigi Mangione is back sitting at the defense table as his defense is trying to get some key evidence thrown out. Mangione was in handcuffs when he walked into the courtroom. Then the court officers uncuffed him as he sat down, dressed in his dark gray suit, checkered shirt, listening as the defense team challenged prosecution witnesses. The first witness testified about the video photos that law enforcement released in that attempt to get the public to identify the then unidentified gunman right after the shooting. Then the 911 call from the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where he was arrested, was played. Quote, "I have a customer. Here and some other customers say he looks like the CEO killer from New York. I can't approach him. He's still in the back out by the lobby of a bathroom. Let me run back to our security camera, wearing a black sweater jacket with the medical mask, a tan beanie, like the blue medical mask." The dispatcher asked, "The one that shot the police officer?" The manager says, "That shot the CEO. He has the beanie pulled down. The only thing you can see is his eyebrows." Mangione is charged with the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last December as Thompson headed to a Midtown Manhattan investors conference. They want, the defense that is, wants the 3D printed gun, silencer, and notebook and his iPhone that police say they found in his backpack thrown out because they say the cops didn't have a search warrant, pointing to police officer Chrissy Wasser, saying, quote, "Patrolwoman Wasser recovered a gun magazine loaded with bullets, now realizing she had made a potentially devastating mistake by thoroughly searching the backpack without a warrant. She suddenly stated she was searching through the backpack at the McDonald's to make sure there wasn't a bomb or anything in there." The Altoona police officers who arrested him will certainly be called as witnesses here. This should last all week as the defense tries to delve into those details to try and get the key pieces of evidence thrown out if they can. So far, John, though, there is no trial date set. It all depends about what happens here in criminal court this week. Back to you.
All right. Well, the defense does what the defense does. Eric Shawn for us. Eric, thank you. Sandra?
Okay, John, with us now, Josh Ritter and Donna Rotano, both are criminal defense attorneys and Fox News contributors. Donna, I'll start with you first. Luigi Mangione wants this judge to toss evidence out. What evidence are they looking to throw out?
So it looks like there's two specific different pieces or segments of evidence they would like to have turned out. One is what was found in the backpack, the contents of the backpack. The other motion has to do with what he said to police prior to be given his Miranda rights. In terms of what was in the backpack, I really don't think they have a leg to stand on. This is a situation where he was being arrested. Anything that was on him, with him, part of him, that is search incident to arrest. Even if the officer started to look in that backpack for whatever they were looking for, guns, bombs, they have a right to do that for officer safety. So I think when it comes to the backpack, the state's going to be in pretty good shape.
Okay, so we know that the defense team is looking to dismiss the New York State charges against him, suppressing Mr. Mangione's statements to law enforcement, suppressing the evidence seized at the time of his arrest, we know, precluding the DA from eliciting non-eyewitness identification testimony at trial, dismissing the indictments, terrorism-related counts, and dismissing the indictment over concurring federal charges. So what do you think they'll be able to accomplish here as we await news out of the courtroom?
Not much, quite honestly, but here's what they're trying to do. A lot is at play here because they're really shaping the landscape of what the trial is going to be once we get to trial. They're talking about both the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. Donna outlined the Fourth Amendment, how they're looking at the search and seizure of that backpack, what was found inside of it. They're also looking at his Miranda issues, whether or not he was advised of his rights and whether or not they can get the statements that he made to law enforcement in. The problem with that is that if he gave statements voluntarily, in other words, not in response to any kind of questioning, they're going to get all of that in. I think that's how this is all going to play out at the end of this very long hearing, but it's going to affect fundamentally how this whole trial shapes out.
Yeah, what was it about the arrest that is so in question? Why was this so different?
Well, I don't think it was very different. I think your issue here is you have competing law enforcement. You have the officers that initially detained him,
Right.
which were different than the officers who are obviously conducting the investigation or the detectives in New York. So I don't think it's much different other than the fact that you're dealing with more than one jurisdiction, given the fact that he was arrested in one state, brought back to another. So I think they're just going to try to attack. Why would you want, of course you don't want the gun in evidence. Of course you don't want the bullets in evidence. Of course you don't want the manifesto in evidence. I mean, these are all very damaging things. So they're going to do anything that they can do to try to have those pieces of evidence eliminated from the trial. But again, I don't think that's going
So to your point, he faces charges in New York, Pennsylvania, and federally, of course. He faces a maximum of life in prison in New York State. If convicted of the top federal charges, he could face the death penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're fighting against that. But the government, the Department of Justice, filed a robust and lengthy response to their objections. And they're not arguing the defense anything new that we haven't heard before. They're essentially making arguments that there's been too much public attention on this case, that he can't get a fair trial. Government has shot back and said that that's not going to hold water, that they should be allowed to at least present that penalty to a jury. Once the state case plays out, the federal case will go into action.
Final question on these supporters showing up. He's had them all along. Why are they showing up, even in the cold, frigid temperatures, to continue to support him?
I think it's like anything else we're seeing in our country today, unbelievable polarization on one topic. You have one issue where you think it should land, everybody should agree, and everyone doesn't. I think you have a group of people that hate the healthcare company so much that they'll do anything they can do to try to justify this murder. It makes no sense to me, and I think we're really in a very precarious place as a nation if we say that this behavior is okay.
Incredible. Thank you to both of you for being here. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.